Hello and welcome to the City of Sydney's Reboot webinar series. My name is Kate Pinn and I am your host once again for this special series today. Now, before we begin today's session, I'd like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which each of us meet. Perhaps you're joining from Gadigal, or Bree, I know you're in Lennox Head. Whereabouts are you joining from?
I'm on Bundjalung country, actually, just up in the Northern Rivers. Yeah.
Wonderful. If you know the area that you're joining from, we'd love to see that in the chat box as well. As we share knowledge and learning today, may we each pay respect to knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of our country. Now, the Reboot webinar series is focused on practical and actionable insights to help businesses thrive across three key phases of business, which we all know well. It's run, grow, and adapt. Now, Reboot was originally developed to support local businesses in the aftermath of the 2020 COVID-19 lockdown. If you've been with us since then, you'll know this. It's now the fifth iteration. So Reboot 2025 is presented in two blocks of 5 webinars. This is our fifth and final of this first block. They're 1 hour webinars over lunch, and there'll be a second series later this year. Each webinar features a guest speaker. You can see how wonderful Bree already joined, and case studies and tips you can apply immediately to help your business thrive. The Reboot series is brought to you by the City of Sydney and proudly supported by Service New South Wales Business Connect. Now, we'll pop a link in the chat so you can find out more about how Business Connect can provide you with free, independent, and tailored business advice, which is absolutely fantastic to have this service. All right, let me tell you what you can expect over this next hour with our wonderful Bree about winning and retaining customers. So we'll have about 15-20 minutes of Bree's presentation, and then she's got 2 case studies to share of how businesses have applied this applied the knowledge from her webinar today in their own businesses. And then we'll have 15 minutes of Q&A. So you may notice there's a chat box and a Q&A box. So in the chat box, you can pop your comments as we go along. And if you've got a question that you would love Bree to answer in this 15 minutes at the end, pop it in the box that has Q&A. So along the bottom, a little icon with Q&A, and that's where you can pop your questions, and we'll do our best to get through them. If you've been before, sometimes you'll notice that there's lots of questions, and we do our best to gather them together and answer as many as we can. All right, let me introduce you to the wonderful Bree, and she's here to talk all about winning and keeping customers. Now, Bree is the owner of Salesoda with 1 S in the middle. And this business is founded on 22 years of on-the-ground experience, and it's all about sales training programs, events and sales agencies, and proactive sales training, and lots more, as you'll find out. As the founder of Salesoda, Bree has seen firsthand what it takes to grow a successful hospitality venue and or event services business. Now, I know there's people joining today which that isn't your niche, but you'll notice that all the tools that Bree shares today is applicable to every business, not just hospitality or event services businesses. But that said, if you are in that niche, you are in for a treat today. Now, Bree has worked in every facet of events, from the bottom to the glass ceiling, and she's curated over 1,500 weddings. And gosh, I've been married once. That was enough for me, but imagine being part of 1,500.
I could write a book. It'd be a funny book, that's for
Oh
sure.
gosh. Managing nearly 50 staff members, increased event sales from 1 million to 4.7 million within just a few years, and lots of other achievement. And you'll actually get to see some of the numbers today about how this proactive sales makes a difference in your business. So with these 22 years of experience in events and marketing, because it's all marketing, Bree has built this niche where she does sales training to all businesses, which is what we'll be looking at today, but also has an event sales agency tailored for venues. So instead of hiring somebody yourself, Bree provides a person part-time that manages your events for you, which is a pretty nifty thing for a lot of businesses. So it's all about sharing the tools of the trade today, and how to nurture your clients to help increase revenue and this constant year-on-year growth. So we are so lucky to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us, Bree. And what have you got in store?
So many things. Well, firstly, thanks everyone for turning up. I know it's hard these days to lock something in and actually show up. So I'm so happy that you're all here. And hopefully, I can give you enough juicy insight for all different industries, all different businesses, and we can go through all the steps together. I do have a bit to go through, but as Kate said, please feel free to put your questions in the question box, and I'd love to get to them. So, what we're going to be talking about today is quite a few things, and we're going to start off with acquiring more loyal customers. But this is what our agenda will look like. So, we've got, first of all, the acquiring more loyal customers. Second of all, we're going to go how to delight and engage customers at every interaction from the moment that they discover you to their 10th visit or purchase. Point number 3 is the power of retention. So, why keeping a customer costs less and makes you more than constantly chasing new ones. Followed by, as Kate said, my case studies and questions at the end. So, thrown in a little bit in there about proactive sales. So, we'll get going on all of that. So the first thing to note, guys, is not all customers are equal. And I know we know that, but have a think for a minute. We are all personally customers. So one of the most important shifts that you can make in your business thinking is realizing that not everyone is going to be equal. And all of us here in this webinar, we are the customers in so many ways. So some customers buy once and then they vanish. No feedback, no return, no referral, and that's okay. Not everyone's meant to stay. But then there are your gold customers, the ones who come back, the ones who tell their friends, and the ones who spend more and they stay longer. They cost less to serve over time. These ones, guys, that's what we call your loyal customers, and they're worth their weight in gold. So instead of trying to attract everyone, we need to focus on attracting the right ones, the ones who align with what you offer, how you offer it, and who you are. Because when you find and serve the right people, you don't just make a sale, you build a relationship. And that's where real sustainable growth lies. So first off, we have a little poll here. So I'd love you to pop your little answer in there, A, B, C, or D. So first of all, I just want to know from you guys, who is your ideal customer? Which of these best describes how clear you are in your business on your ideal customer? Is it A, I could describe them in one sentence? Is it B, I have a rough idea, but it's not documented? Is it C, I'm targeting anyone who's interested? Or D, what's an ideal customer? So go ahead and pop in your choices there. I'd love to hear from you guys where you're at with your ideal customer.
All right, we've got 50% answered. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds. Bree, I'll be honest, I looked at this and I had a bit of a chuckle, and then I thought, probably the way that I market, I'm targeting anyone who's interested, which is so, and I know that's not, I know, but
It's
yet
all
here I
good.
am. Okay,
It's
2
fun.
more seconds. Let's end the poll. Okay, I'm popping the results on the screen now.
Cool, thank you. Awesome. So 30% of you, I could describe them in one sentence. 38% I have a rough idea, but it's not documented. And 32% I'm targeting anyone who's interested. And no one said what's an ideal customer. Amazing. Good work, guys. Appreciate that very much. Awesome. So let's go into that, shall we? So how to attract the right customers? How do we actually do that? The ones who buy and come back and tell their friends. And where it starts is with clarity. So you need to know who your ideal customer is, and congratulations for those of you who do understand what that means. And I don't mean that anyone with a wallet. I mean the person who needs what you offer, values how you offer it, and will get the results from working with you. So if you're unclear on who that is, your marketing then becomes vague. And vague marketing attracts vague customers. The next step is be where they are. So where is your ideal customer? Have a think about them if you know who they are at the moment. Are they scrolling through Instagram? Are they reading emails? Are they walking through your local markets? Are they listening to podcasts? Be present in their digital world and their physical world. And most importantly, somewhere we forget, is their emotional world. Speak to the challenges and desires that they carry with them every day, because that's how you're going to stand out. And finally, this one's a non-negotiable, but build a trust bridge early. So don't lead with a hard sell. And that's coming from a saleswoman. Don't lead with a hard sell. Lead with value. So share a useful tip, offer a quick win, be clear about what they can expect from you. And above all, make a strong first impression. That's often the moment when they decide whether or not they're in or out with either yourself, your business, or your brand. When you do all these three things well, get clear on who you're there for, and then show up where they are, and you build the trust early, you don't have to fight for the attention because the right customers will start finding you.
Now, Bree, I just wanted to add that this will
Yeah.
be recorded, or it is being recorded, so people can access it, but you won't have a separate access of the slides just in the recording. So if there's a slide like this one here that you particularly like, make sure you grab your phone or do a screenshot, take a photo, so you've got all the data that you need so you can make some of these changes straight away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Now, for those of you who answered and said that they don't necessarily have it documented, here's a couple of ideas of where you can do it for free. And it literally prompts you to get the customer persona down and documented. It's a great thing to share with your team. So you can go to Canva and do it now. I use Extensio. That's the one I like to use because it has a few more features. And you can also do it in HubSpot. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of that and go ahead and do that in your time, you can do that. But that's a really good way of putting it all together and sharing it with your team. Awesome. So let's move on to that icky sticky subject that people like to talk about, but not necessarily like to implement, which is proactive sales. So let's have a look at this. Proactive sales, it's all about it. If you want consistent results and you can't afford to sit back and wait, it's time to take charge. So first, what is the difference between proactive and reactive? Not proactive, reactive. Reactive means you're responding to what comes your way. So a customer will walk in or someone will send you an email or an inquiry for your service. And proactive means that you're out there making it happen. So you're the one starting the conversation, not waiting for it. So in our terms, there's always cold and warm leads or hot leads. This would be a cold lead scenario, but I think it's a nicer way to just saying you're the way who's being proactive and getting out there and starting the conversation. And it starts with one powerful tool. Funnily enough, that's your customer persona. So we want to do some research. We want to figure out who and where your ideal customer is, like we've spoken about, and actually the ones that you want more of. The type of those golden relationships that we were talking about building from the from the start. That's who you want to actually find to make more of. And then it's really easy. If you've got a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool, that's fine. You can use Excel. But what you're going to do is you're going to add their contact details, their name, their business, their phone number, their email, their LinkedIn, and put all of that together in just an easy spreadsheet for you to be able to navigate through the process. And then next, most importantly, is create a strategy. So what is your goal for reaching out to them? Because not every proactive sale is the same. So are you trying to generate a sale? Are you trying to warm up a new lead? Or you're simply trying to create brand awareness so that you can get some followers on different platforms? Define that before you start, because proactive isn't always about just getting one person to buy one item. It is about, can be a lot of different things in your business. So make sure that you're clear on what you're doing. And once that's done, you're ready to go. You got your list, you got your plan, you've got your purpose, because that's what being proactive looks like. It's not just thinking about what you should do, but actually doing it. So proactive sales is how you create the momentum and not just sit back and wait for it to come into your inbox.
Just a quick question on this.
Sure.
Mentioned about having people's details, and even if you put it in an Excel spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
what about, like, say if you're a coffee shop or you might
Yep.
not have people's details? Am I jumping the
Yes.
gun?
There is a little bit that will come to answer that. But if you have a coffee shop and you don't have people's details, what you do have is you have your Facebook groups. You've got ways to find them on LinkedIn. So your ideal customer, is it going to be, mums and bubs that come in after they've dropped their children off at school? Is it going to be are you in a corporate area where there's a whole bunch of officers that come in for lunch? There's still going to be a way for you to find those details of that specific person. And no, I'm not talking about cringy stuff of getting a phone call of a mum down the road and giving us a call and saying, do you want to come in for lunch today? It's a bit more strategic than that, but there is ways of finding your right customers and finding their contact details. Yes. Cool. So we have a little checklist here. It might be a little small on your screen, so I do apologize, but I can send this through to you separately if you'd like. So I'm just going to read it from my other screen because I've got two going at the moment. This is your pre-proactive checklist. So this is everything you need before you start proactive to make sure that when you initiate the proactive, you're going to get better results. So number one, as a lovely Emma would have spoken about, your website needs to be clear and concise for what you are going to be proactively selling. So if it's just general brand awareness, if it's taking them to a specific page, if it's offering a service, if it's offering a specific product, you want to make sure that it's very clear when you sell to them what you're looking at selling. Obviously, user experience on your website. So you want to make sure that you're not limiting the number of tasks that they need to complete before they purchase that product or service. Because there's no point if we're putting all this effort into proactive, then they're getting there and they have to go through 10 different communication touch points to actually get that converted. Want to make sure that it's nice and easy and clear. Responding to your reactive leads at an optimal rate. This is something that I say all the time. Everyone loves to think about proactive and how they can go through, but what are we currently doing with reactive? Are we getting back to them promptly? Are we doing our follow-ups? Are we sending them clear and concise communication, which I'm going to touch communication touch points in a minute? And you want to be converting your current leads at an optimal rate as well. So making sure that you're not just responding to them, but you are actually converting them at a really good rate, depending on your industry, demographic, location, all those bits and pieces. Point number 5 is shortening the communication touch points between your inquiry and conversion. Oh, I love this subject so much. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I don't have that many touch points. It's probably like 5. But if you sit back and think about when you called them, did you leave a message? If they called you back, when you sent an email, did you send a follow-up? Did you get another response from them? At what point did you send an invoice and the terms and conditions? It actually can be quite large. So you want to make sure that you shorten those communication touch points to the best of your ability. And obviously, obvious one, seems obvious, but that your socials are aligned with what you are proactively selling and the links are all to the same sales page. Number 7, a banging sales page, which means it has to be perfect. It has to be great. It has to look enticing. You want to make sure that you're sending them to the right place and that when they get there, they're wowed. So you want to make sure that happens. A CRM or a simple spreadsheet is easy. You can use Excel. You don't have to invest all the money in the CRMs. It's totally fine, ready to go. Number 9 is a qualified list of amazing, ideal, and great potential clients, which is using those examples that I said before and how to grab them. Number 10 sounds simple, but sometimes we delegate proactive to other team members. So we want to make sure that they really know the product or service that they are actually going to be selling. And point number 11, which is where most people fall under, is be confident. Be confident. It's your business, it's your brand, it's your product, it's your service. You've got to be confident in the way that you're speaking about it. So as long as you've got all of these bullet points listed and checklisted and ticked off, then you're ready to go and start proactive sales. So the next subject we're going to talk about is how to engage and delight customers at every interaction. So a little poll for you again, guys. So where do you think you deliver the biggest wow in your customer journey? Do you think that it's first impression or the welcome experience? B, during the purchase or service delivery? C, after the sale, so the follow-up or the thank you? Or D, not sure we're doing anything wow yet?
All right, that poll should be popping up on your screen. We've got 40% answered so far. Quickly get your response in there. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2. Ooh, there's a flurry at the end. Everyone loves a bit of pressure, isn't it?
Always.
Okay.
It's like that time ticking. Yeah.
Ending the poll.
All right. What have we got?
All right. Sharing on the screen now.
Nice. Okay. So the highest one is at 36% is B. So during the purchase or service delivery. Coming in second is 31%, which is D. Not sure we're doing anything wow yet. Third at 29% is A. So first impression or welcome experience. And then after the sale is at 5%. So yeah, cool. That's really interesting. That's really great to know. Oh, this is going to be fun because we're about to go through customer journey. Thanks, guys, for participating. I appreciate it. Okay. So what we want to talk about here is making every touch point count. So let's talk about one of the most overlooked aspects of our customer experience, and it's the little things. It's the tiny little things. Every touch point from their very first interaction to the 10th purchase is an opportunity to build trust, to spark joy, and to deepen connection. And it all starts with the first impression. So I'm glad that a lot of you said that. And you know what they say? You never get a second chance to make one. So that's why it's crucial to make your sales experience feel personal, because nobody likes a cookie cutter response. And as much as we know in business, there are a lot of things that are rinse and repeat, and there are templates and things, there's still ways with templates to make sure that they are feeling seen and they are feeling heard and they're feeling like you're directly speaking to them, not a broader range of people. So whether it's a welcome email, a response to an inquiry, or the first time someone walks into your space, make it feel like they're in the right place and you actually care about their wants and their needs very deeply. But it doesn't stop there. So thank you for the people who answered A, but it didn't stop there. So look for what I call, which is micro moments. So these small interactions that often go unnoticed but have a big emotional impact. So what I'm going to say next might give some people the ick, but pick up the phone and call them. This is what a lot of people tend not to do, especially at this day and age. It's a subject that I talk about a lot of the time. So how frequently do I see businesses hide behind their keyboard and not make a personal connection with potential customers? How exciting is it when you actually, so think about yourself here as the customer. How exciting is it when you get a phone call from your recent inquiry that you've emailed about and someone calls you by your first name? Think about how that's felt in comparison to getting an email back. And we will probably remember the last time that actually did happen with us. So pick up the phone. It takes 2 seconds. Start building that trust. Then you want to make sure that you're following up with a personalized email. So like I said, yes, templates are key, but it needs to be personalized. Make this first initial connection and you're more likely to be known as the trusted professional and brand over your competitors. So not just that point, but other micro moments. So if you're not in that type of industry where you're behind the keyboard all the time, other micro moments can be an unexpected thank you card in their package. So yes, even though it's only 5% of you, you're saying that's where you wow people. That is still a great space. A handwritten note, a follow-up message asking how their experience was. So as you can see here, before I even move on to the next part of what I'm talking about, every single touch point counts. So if you're nailing it in the first bit, amazing. Let's have a look at what you're doing in the middle section. Let's have a look at what you're doing afterwards to make sure that in all of the aspects, we are giving them the best customer experience that we can. So even if you've got a space, the signage in your space or the tone of your email footer can create and surprise and delight. And then we want to step back and we want to map the full journey. So from discovery, from the first time they hear about you to the point where they buy again or they refer a friend. So ask yourself, what's the experience at every stage that we're talking about? And more importantly, what part can you elevate? So where can you infuse more value, more care, more connection? Because when you make every touch point count, you stop just being a business and you become a brand that they trust, that they remember, and that they love to come back to. Okay. So I'm going to show you an example of a customer journey map here. You can make them as small or as big as you like. And this is an example of one in a space that I know very well, event management and wedding planning. So as I'm just going to run you through kind of what it looks like as a customer journey, because there's really two facets that we need to think about here. There's the client process and then there's the employee process, right? So client being customer, employee can be us. It's basically who's working for the business and who's looking at purchasing. So the client process are the gray areas at the top. So you've got them in a mental psychological state. You've got pre-decision, you've got decision, you've got interaction, you've got the date, and you've got the post. And then on the employee side, you've got the ETC, which is from inquiry stage to tentative stage to converted stage. You've got the interaction, which is what we call the event management. So if you can imagine you're booking in a birthday party, you've converted after, it's all the bits and pieces and twos and fro's between that and the actual day. And then you've got the event day. And then after that, you've got your follow-up. So what we do post as well, because it doesn't stop on the event day. So in the pre-decision, so I'm going to talk about the client process. The customer in this stage, they have an idea of the event that they would like to host. The customer knows the budget, the what aesthetics and type of event they want. They have an idea of what they're looking for, and they're trying to find the right fit with the venue within their budget. If you move over to the decision phase, the customer is deciding which venue is offering better value for money, which space they liked best, and location for guests. Customer is choosing if the event manager is knowledgeable and trustworthy, and that the venue has a variety and flexibility with food and beverage packages. Corporates are taking all the proposals back to the decision maker, who will then ultimately choose which venue to go to. Personal events will obviously be chatting with their partner or their family, deciding who to go to. Once that's done, we then go to interaction. So the customer's then choosing their food, their beverage requirements from event manager's suggestions. The customer is stress-free following the journey the event manager has painted for them in terms of resources and the guest experience on the night. And customer is signing off on all details and costs and is excited in anticipation for the event. So on the date, the customer is excited about their event. Any troubles that might have previously existed no longer exist. The customer is checking that everything is run as per the banquet event order. All the guests are happy and they may order additional items. And then the post-event, they will receive an outstanding invoices if there are any. They'll be given an opportunity for feedback. And this is where we want to keep them coming. So that's where you would value proposition and potentially offer them something enticing to come back and spend more time with us.
Bree, I can look at this and already think, okay, I'm a dentist or I'm selling sporting jumpers. And you still
Awesome.
have this same process of like comparing different sports jumpers or different dentists and then making your
Exactly.
decision, and then the actual booking process versus or the buying process of the jumper, and then actually sending the product or turning up for your dentist appointment and the follow-up. Whenever I go to the dentist, they always rebook me for 6 months' time. I'm like, that's fine.
Exactly.
And if I buy
100%.
something online, like the follow-up email or would you like to add this as well?
Mhm.
As a customer, it makes my life easier. So,
Yes.
and I think sometimes we think like selling is a bit icky, but if you're making their life easier, then like that's kind of what
Yes.
the job is there.
Exactly. And remember, guys, sales, everyone thinks sales can be a bit icky. It's literally a transaction. Don't think about money. You are transactioning with a goods or service in return for revenue to make you be able to buy more goods and services, aka rent, mortgage, groceries, all of those bits and pieces. It is literally a transaction. When we stop thinking about sales as in revenue and high end and cold calling and things like that, it's where you can kind of relate a little bit more to what we're doing.
Hmm.
So the
Right.
last section, so this is what, yeah, you go ahead, Kate.
I was just going to say we've got a couple more minutes here before we get into the case studies and questions. So
Cool.
if things are
No
popping up, I've noticed
worries.
there's a question in the chat. If you've got questions around this, make sure you pop them in the Q&A box or along the bottom. You'll see a speech bubble that says Q&A. Pop them in there and we'll answer all those shortly.
Awesome. So I'll just go through our process very quickly because this is important. So the E, the T, the C, the event management, event day, and follow up. But I'll just do it briefly because I'm conscious of time. So in the pre-decision, so in our inquiry process, ETC, we're qualifying the client, we're delivering a proposal, we're including upselling items, we're showcasing through the proposal everything that we have to offer. During the event management and the interaction side of things for them, we want to make sure that we are constantly in communications, having all the details finalized in a timely manner and providing them reassurance that their event is the top priority. On the day, we're to ensure that we've completed a sufficient handover to the supervisor for the day, if not already completed earlier. So we want to make sure that everything is run with the entire team. And then afterwards, it's up to us to do the financial reconciliation with complete transparency and also asking for their feedback. And again, wowing and surprising them to bring them back with an offer to come back to us again. Cool. Let's talk about keeping those people, the power of retention. Okay, quick poll again, guys. How often do you actively reach out to existing customers to re-engage? Is it A, weekly or monthly? B, a few times a year? C, only when we need a sale, which we're all guilty of that. And D, we currently don't do this. Please be honest. I can't see who's picking anything. It literally be
It is
honest with it.
anonymous.
I have no idea. No idea who you are.
It should be popping up on your screen as a pop-up where you can click one. All right, 3 more seconds. While that's happening, there's a question in the box. What was ET&C on your last slide there, Bree?
Inquiry, tentative, conversion.
To the psychological, like the thought decision process.
Yeah, so it is the process that I've put together that happens, before you actually convert the business and do all of the things that you need to do after converting the sale. Okay.
All
All right,
right.
re-engage. Do you want to read the answers, Kate?
Yes. So we don't currently do this, 48%. Look, I'll be honest, that's me too. Weekly or monthly is next at 28%, and then tied at 13%, a few times a year, and only when we need a sale. Great
Yeah.
thing here, some easy, quick wins that you can take from today. This is
Yeah.
exciting. This is not about feeling
Mhm.
bad.
No, this is amazing, especially that 48%. Let's start it. As soon as you
Let's
finish
start it.
this, go in and start it. Block out half an hour and put something together. That's all it's going to take you.
I like that idea because half an hour is achievable. You
Half
have
an
to
hour
do
is
a day for this.
achievable
Ugh.
easily. Awesome. So let's be honest, chasing new customers is exciting. Trust me, I know I'm very excitable. I am full of fizz. That is me. It feels like growth, it feels like process, but here's the truth. Keeping your existing customers is just as important and often more profitable than finding the new ones. Why? Because it costs 5 to 7 times more to attract a new customer than retain an existing one. So
Wow.
every time you win someone over, that's time, that's energy, that's marketing dollars spent. But if someone already trusts you and has already bought from you, the heavy lifting is done. And here's the kicker. Oh, that's what happens when you scroll down. Here's the kicker. No, we've gone back too many slides now. There we go. Retain customers spend more. They forgive mistakes more easily. And best of all, they promote your business. So they become an unofficial sales team. They tell friends, they leave reviews, they come back without you chasing them. So obviously the question is, how do we keep them? And it comes down to 3 words: loyalty, follow up, which is kind of a hyphen word, so we can count that as one, and personalization. So run a loyalty program that actually rewards loyalty. There's so many things, and there is the coffee cards and things like that, but what are you actually doing to reward the loyalty? How personal is it? For me, if I go down to my local restaurant and they know me and then they pour me the glass of wine that I go down and drink there and serve that to me, so that is rewarding me because they know exactly what I'm drinking. They're bringing in the personalization as well aspect of it. And moments like that will make me keep coming back. Not necessarily a card with a voucher, but you can still do that too. It's another idea. But we're talking about personalization. So you want to use their name. You want to see, I got ahead of myself. You want to remember their last purchase. You want to make it feel like you see them and not just their wallet. Because retention isn't reactive, it's proactive. And when you invest in it, just like you would acquisition, you create a business that grows from the inside out. So turning customers into advocates. They should feel like a one seamless journey, so not 3 disconnected stages. So next, stop thinking in terms of customer lists and start thinking about the term community. So when people feel seen, valued, and connected, they become loyal, not just to your product, but to your brand's purpose. And the simplest, most human way to do this is to, I know it's cringy, invite feedback, reward loyalty, and celebrate milestones. So send them a birthday message, regardless of what industry you're in. Everyone loves a birthday message. I still love going through and going, oh, what can I get today? Because someone sent me a 10% off here because it's my birthday. That's me. I do get excited about that. Highlight a regular customer and ask what they think. Don't be scared of negative feedback. You have to know your customers and you have to know what they think about what you're providing them, service or product. Ask what they think. How did they like the customer journey? Did they feel seen? All those bits and pieces. So these small actions create emotional connection, and emotional connection creates advocacy. So remember, every touch point is a chance to impress, but also a chance to include. Because when customers feel like they're part of your story, they'll be the ones helping you write the next chapter. And now we're moving on. How are we going for time?
Good. Well, I've asked a few questions along the way, so I have
Thank you.
combined a few things. But yes, we've got about 10 minutes for case studies, and then I've got a few
Excellent.
questions in the Q&A box. So keep
I'm
popping those in the
excited for the
Q&A box.
questions. Don't worry, the case studies won't take too long because I love a stat. If you don't know me, I love a stat. So it's just very statistical. So this case study here is about a little boutique restaurant in Lennox Head, which was where I live, called Shelter. And if you've all been there before, I hope you have. If not, come visit, come say hi. It's
Amazing.
amazing. That is the place that pours me my wine when I walk through the door and orders me oysters. I love it. But yeah, so they have a restaurant downstairs and they've got accommodation upstairs. So Meat Shelter in Lennox Head. So Andy and Troy, the owners, were looking for an event manager. So they wanted their wedding and event side of the business to grow. However, they weren't converting at an optimal rate. So they were extremely reactive and they hadn't set up any sales strategy or process. And their communication touch points, they weren't clear, which also led to their finances not being clear. Their repeat business was also low. So they had somebody working there who is a beautiful friend of mine, don't you worry. However, she wasn't trained in what she needed to be trained in. So a lot of time, especially in hospitality businesses, they'll employ from within or somebody who's junior or training, etc. But what they need is they don't have, you've got to actually open up your mind to a full sales strategy from the start to the end to
Bree,
get them.
this is not just hospitality and events. This is all industries. Gosh,
Awesome.
yes.
Good stuff. So let me walk you through some of the key actions that we implemented to elevate their business, not just in theory, but in real tangible ways. So first, we created a custom CRM tool.
Can
Before
you
this, a
say CRM stands for?
customer relationship management.
Thank you.
I feel like you're testing me, like you know the answers. Um, Before this, customer data and the inquiries, they were scattered. They were all over the place, which meant missed opportunities, no clear follow-up process. And now every lead is tracked, followed up, and nurtured with consistency. So then we got them to start measuring their conversions better than they were before because, again, conversion rates, people will just pull them out of thin air. It's actually a statistic. So you've got to start doing that properly because without numbers, you're just guessing. So we gave them clarity around what was working and what wasn't and how to improve. And then we also did a deep dive into their communication touch points, very important, across email, social, website, and even how the team spoke to their customers. So every interaction became intentional, clear, and consistent because the customer experience isn't just one big moment, guys. It's made up of lots of little small ones. That's what we have to remember. It's not a big bang. It's little, tiny little seeds happening all the time. Next, we educated the team on their customer journey. First, from the first inquiry to the post-event follow-up, we helped them map it out so they could better guide and support and impress their clients at every single stage. And we also focus on repeat business strategies. So instead of always chasing new leads, we help them to tap into their existing database with rebooking offers, loyalty perks, after-event check-ins, the stuff we've been chatting about. And finally, we refreshed their event package and menus. So that was obviously their selling tool. So that's what we looked at. We aligned everything, current trends with customer expectations, ensuring their offers not only looked better, but they sold better. So these weren't one-off fixes. They were part of a broader strategy to make the business more efficient, more engaging, and ultimately more profitable, which is what we care about as business owners. So the results. So remember, weddings and events, in this case study right here, this is what we're talking about. Weddings have a long lead time. I've currently got weddings books for 2027, not joking. While events have a shorter lead time. So I've still got, I'm in communications, not converting yet, events that are happening in 2 weeks. So there's really kind of different game there. So what we did is we doubled the conversion rates in just 1 year using these strategies, all of the things that I've spoken about today, and 4 times the average conversion rate for weddings in hospitality venues, We also increased their revenue by 361% in just 2 years. And that's without me even including 2025 peak season, because we haven't even gone into the corporates yet for this year. We're still doing end of financial year. So the projected revenue increase, including peak season, is 462%. And repeat business is at an all-time high. So this is a classic example. A couple of weeks ago, the daughter of a bride who I had 2 years ago just got married in the same venue 2 years later. If that's
Wow.
not repeat business, I don't know what is. When your daughter will come back and get married at the same venue. So yeah, we had lots of fun doing this.
And I can
And
see
then
like just those tips that you've added. I know these are hospitality and event venues, but just
mhm,
those tips you've talked about proactive sales, this applies to all businesses. Like we're all people
businesses.
who are looking for something and we're looking for someone to fulfill it, whether it's a product
Exactly.
or a service, a venue. It's all the same buying psychology.
Absolutely is. And proactive sales can be fun, guys. Like, yes, I've used some hospo experiences, but I have done like proactive sales for a lighting business, for a web developer, for a photographer, for who else have I done it for? An AI developer was most recent one. So all of the same things I'm applying
Same,
now
yeah.
does actually, sorry, giving you now does apply to all industries. Proactive sales you can do in any industry. I'm yet to find one that I can't. So, but that would be a challenge. Let me know.
All right, tell us
All
about this
right.
next case study.
Awesome. Okay, this one's pretty quick, nice and simple. If you know of Memento Hospitality Group, they're a big venue group. They just opened a new venue actually called where is it? Oran Park, which is out in Western Sydney. So I was looking after them and we did Memento. Sorry, there's just a spelling error there, but that just goes to show we're human and we're not doing cookie cutters. Okay, cool. So I've been training their teams. This was a couple of years ago. They had 7 venues at that time, and they were looking to initiate a 1 month proactive campaign. That's it, just 1 month. Let's go. So they had not completed. So this was not just me, like I'm not doing the calls. I was training the team on how to do the calls and how to do proactive sales. They had not completed any proactive sales before. The team were completely green and completely nervous about cold leads and picking up the phone, let me tell you. And they didn't have a database. They didn't even know who their customer was, or a CRM ready to go, or your spreadsheet ready to go. So they didn't have anything. So we literally started from scratch for their first time ever.
This
So
is
let me
great to
walk you
see,
through.
Bree,
Yeah.
because there's people in the chat that have said, I hate phone calls. Blah.
I know, but yeah, I know, but it gets you there faster. Let me tell
Because
you.
no one's doing it. That's going to make you
Because
stand.
no one's doing it anymore,
Yeah.
guys. So you be that person. So let me walk you through just some key actions that we implemented in proactive sales to elevate their business. And this can be done for any industry. So not just in theory, but in real tangible ways again. So first we created a custom CRM tool. Before this, a customer data. No, that's the wrong one there. Let's have a look. No, it looks like the notes for this one is different. So let me just run through because this is the notes that I had for the other one. Created a detailed research list of potential clients. So we sat down together and we literally did their customer journey map and their customer personas. And we made sure that we went out, depending on where their venues were located, and researched the potential clients, not forgetting as well. Guess what we did? Went back and created a list of their previous clients that we had as well and re-engaged with those previous clients as well as the cold leads. So it was really interesting putting everything together. We then trained the team in confidence building. Yes, all those who don't want to pick up the phone, you can do it. I believe in you. And most importantly, strategy. So what we're going to do, how many we're going to contact, so not to overwhelm. And if it was just going to be 5 calls a day, 10 calls a day to get the building up of the confidence. 10 calls a day is 50 calls a week, and that's better than none. So even if it's 10 phone calls, and guess what people forget about? Not everyone answers their phone anymore because we keep getting spam phone calls from mobile
Exactly
numbers.
what someone just put in the
That's
chat.
yes, it's true. So when you're so scared about calling 10 people, let's be honest, 5 of them aren't even going to answer. So you're fine. It's all good. So we did that, and then we measured the key statistics through the process, which is really important with proactive. And we also developed their pitch. what they're going to do. Because, you know, these ladies and men were all different ages, all different experience levels, confident on the phone. So we made it, tailored it around, you know, where their confidence levels and skills were at. The results. So the total time in prep and execution was just 6 weeks, and I'm not talking full time. I was working for them a couple of hours a week. That was it. So total time in prep and execution was 6 weeks. We generated multiple six figures of additional revenue. But here is the most juicy point. It was completed whilst not losing the current reactive clients. So everyone who was still coming in, no one got lost. The conversion rate didn't go down. It was super amazing. I was so proud of them. Their reactive sales conversion rate remains strong throughout the implementation of the proactive sales strategy. So it just goes to show you don't have to have one or the other. You can have both. What is that Mexican ad? I don't know how to. I don't how does it know how to speak Spanish. Thank you very much,
You're
Kate.
welcome.
Love it. So yes, there is a way that you can implement it that it doesn't feel icky, and you can get results straight away. Straight away. So yeah, that was our result of what we did with Memento there. Any
Wonderful. Thank you
questions?
so much, Bree. All right, so we have
Welcome.
some questions. Now, if you've got some questions, go along the bottom. It says Q&A, a little speech bubble. Pop it in there, and we'll do our best to get through them all. And also, Cynthia's going to pop in the chat the link to give us some feedback on this series, because if you've enjoyed seeing my face these last few weeks, or the last five, it's been 5 weeks. I'm not going to be here next week. This is a block of 5. There's a break, and then there's another block later in the year. So we'd love to get your feedback. Please, please, please fill this out. You can multitask if you like while we answer these questions. All right, so the link is in the chat. Bree, if you could stop sharing your screen so we can see your lovely face, and let me tell you about these questions.
Great.
All right, so Amanda wants to know, and she put this in really early as a question,
Okay.
can you have different personas for different services? Great question, Amanda.
Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. So even for example, if you know you put into, I did it for a client recently. If you've put into the space of, you know, events, that doesn't, you can't do one customer persona for events in total. There's going to be a weddings, and not only in weddings, you can even deep dive into, are they going to be in this age bracket or this financial income? There's absolutely, you can do many customer personas for different services. So whatever feels right. If you know, if you've got that inkling feeling, you're like, I'm missing out on this person. I know that they buy with me a lot. Make another customer persona. And we talk to them differently. So that's really interesting. But yes, make as many as you like.
Great. And if that feels overwhelming, start with one and then work your way through the rest.
One's good.
All right, this one
One's better
came
than
in
none.
about sort of 10 minutes into your presentation. And it's an anonymous one. How are the strategies or tactics different if applying to business clients? So it wasn't the first topic that we were just talking about.
Okay. How are the strategies different to business clients? What can you do? Whoever said that, can you define what you are saying is a business client?
We'll come back to that one. If you can add a little bit more in,
Yes.
that would be great. Or pop your name and we can ask another question. Let's go to the next one. This one's Junie Hotel. Any chance you could provide the best banging sales pages to learn from? I like that
Oh
you've
my
used
gosh.
made
Yes, I
sense.
can. I absolutely can. I'm not going to link them and annoy everyone here, but how would you like me to give them that information, Kate?
I'll send you a private message, Junie Hotel, and you let me know how you want that. Okay, next one while I'm doing that. Jasmine, any advice for new businesses that don't have a lot of case studies or reviews to help build that trust with new customers? And Jasmine, great question. We had this last week too with people building websites and getting their testimonials for that.
Yes. So if we're talking in general, so we're talking about making sure that you're having those customers, the simple things that you can do right now if you're new is number one, again, just focus on those little touch points and those little moments. Spend half an hour after this session and just see where you can improve those bits, because without doing that, you're obviously not going to get your testimonials and feedback just yet. So make sure that you're wowing them in the start. making sure you're picking up the phone call. If it's service or product based, doesn't matter. Making sure that you are personalizing information and then following up and sending them a nice email and a referral to come back. That's the starting point. Literally just getting those all ticked off. From that, you can then ask for testimonials and the feedback once it's completed.
Wonderful. And I'd also say just start with a couple. We always want to test out our product, so to know that it works.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of people that are interested in a good bang and sales page, Bree. So I'll let you have a think about that to know if you have any off the top of your head or
Look, it depends on the industry. So the Bang in Sales page, when you think about it, right, you want to be making sure that when you go to that page, specific, it was almost similar to a lot that Em was talking about last week as well. But you need to make sure that you are directing the customer to exactly what they're looking for. This is also works for lead magnets, right? So if you are sending out a lead magnet to the world to increase your subscribers list, you want to make sure when they get to the page, there's kind of no other place to go other than putting in your details and getting that freebie back. It's the same thing with the Bang and Sales page. It's making sure that it's all brand focused, that it's made with not too text heavy, making sure you've got some grabbing lines there as well. If it's a personal brand, it's going to be images of yourself. And even a testimonial somewhere at the bottom. But basically, you don't want them to leave that page if that page is going to be converting you the business. So you want to make sure you have the information there, but it doesn't have to be SEO tracking this sales page because you're going to be proactively selling. But you want to make sure that it has the relevant information without too much text. It's a bit hard with so many different industries in here for me to
there's
just show you one. But I do have examples that I can give you.
and I think, as you said, like wanting to direct people just to go one spot instead of click here, click here, click here. We just want one call to
Yeah.
action. So we're
Mm-hmm.
directing their energy in one way. Okay. It
Yeah.
sounds like that might be a topic for the next series. There's a lot of
Yeah. A
interesting sales
banging
pages
sales
here.
page.
Okay. Other questions. So this one, besides from what you've mentioned, can approaching boutique shops to become your stockist be proactive?
Yes, it can. I'm part of a business group. She makes these amazing, she's kind of new to business, probably only about 6 months in, and she has these incredible wall hangings that are specifically designed, completely, they're absolutely gorgeous. And she is looking at proactively going into stores as well, into retail spaces, into boutique shops. So making a list of those boutique shops, that is your sale, that is your end
Hmm.
result. So when I
Absolutely.
spoke about being clear on what it is you're trying to do, are you trying to get a sale? In this example, absolutely not. You're trying to get your product into a space for a sale. So what you want to do is whatever that might be is have a think about what goes with it or how their aesthetic will go with it. And that's how you would sell to them. Another way to do that using PR is a proactive exercise with products. So making sure your products are getting into whatever it is that the industry is in. So if it's going to be body and soul, if it's going to be country life, if it's going to be, that is also a proactive way of looking at things in the PR space. So it's not always about the bottom line and getting that one sale. It's about building your business, building your brands and getting yourself out there.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Sharon asked, what is your favorite small business CRM? CRM, Notion, Obsidian, something else. Now I know we can't do recommendations per se. There are
How do
some
I do
free
that
ones
without a
and paid ones.
recommendation? How small, can I ask what industry you're in?
Sharon, if you're there, if you can pop that in the chat or the question, and we'll come back to you because there might be a more targeted response there.
Yeah.
Anonymous asked, how many touch points would you expect to be if the service is on the higher end?
Services on the higher end, how many touch points? The same amount of touch points if it's going to be on the lower end. It's
Interesting.
exactly the same. So you have to think about if you're selling a higher end product, let's say, there's two different couches and one of them is 1,500 and the other is 21,000. Doesn't matter, that's still your customer persona, but in the way that you're strategizing and your communication touch points should be the same. You shouldn't be treating someone different who has a lesser amount of money purchased to the way that you're treating your customer who has a higher one, because you should be all treating them with consistency, with your brand, with that personalization as well. So it should be absolutely exactly the same. Just because it means probably more to your business financially doesn't mean that we treat them any different to the smaller ones as well. So my best way to kind of like upside down do that is to be like, how would I treat and how many communication touch points do I need to convert the big sale? Because then I'm going to also incorporate that for the smaller sales, because that is my best
Mm.
foot forward.
Yeah, great advice. All right, Amanda says, I have a service that no one else is doing, so I've been doing education about what I do. Do you think it's
Mhm.
important to show trust and authenticity to build up?
Yes, I do, because I feel you. I feel you. I'm holding your hand. I get it. I've done the same thing. And a lot of it is in, if you're creating that something that no doesn't exist in the market, there's a whole section in that you have to train and teach them why
Mm,
they need your product or service. So I don't have people out there that potentially need one of my products, one of my services. So there is a training element and aspect that needs to go through that. I
agreed.
would be making sure as well that training little element aspect is on your Bang and Sales page.
Hmm.
Do a little video. It is literally the easiest thing to do. You can film it yourself. I've got one on one of my web pages. I did it in an hour. I did it on an iPhone and I chucked it into Canva. But it is the way that I can get them to understand the value, because they're not looking for it. So how do we get them to understand that? Create a little video. And but it's a really important stage.
Great. I guess if you're wanting, there's a couple of questions more about samples of sales page. I think it's going to be difficult to do it live, and I'm not sure if we can put those extra links on the recording.
Not
So
allowed
I
to,
am,
because
yeah, I
yeah,
am sorry. It isn't our target today. It just happened to be a side topic. Um,
yeah,
but as Bree said, she does have a video on hers, and maybe that's somewhere that you can have a look. And I'll put that feedback for our next round that there's some interest in sales page. So
yeah. Also, I'd love to put all the sales pages up there, but I don't have permission from them. So I
yeah,
need to make sure, so I can give them give some things personally, but I can't
yeah,
unfortunately share
agreed.
them.
All right, we've got a couple more minutes and we've got a lot of questions. So,
Let's
Anita
go.
wants to know, how can I encourage customers to provide their real details during account registration, especially their phone number? I'm selling digital downloads and some people leave fake details. Some say it's not necessary and are
Ooh.
quite aggro about it. Ideas?
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. I've never known someone to be putting in fake, fake mobile numbers and things before. I guess I would have a look at the way we're probably communicating, because you are a digital download and you're asking, for their personal information on that. Is there somewhere in the experience when we're talking about wowing them and making sure the focus is, I'm guessing your stage would personally be that focus point between where you're sending the offer and then what's happening, during, just before the conversion of them putting in the details. Is there a reason, like, it depends how honest you are with your brand. For example, with my brand is pretty open and honest. So I would say, this is why I need your mobile number. It's not because I'm going to sell to you or I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to need it for this. So maybe it's around an education piece, just to get that trust behind you. I mean, if you're going to be
Great
using it
point.
to send them a million text messages, then no. But if you're going to be using it in a nice, ethical way, then perhaps just explain why you're asking them
Yeah.
for their number.
Absolutely. All right, let's loop back to Sharon, who asked about your favorite small business CRM. And there's been a couple of comments in the chat also wanting to know about small business CRM. Sharon, thanks for the extra clarification. She says, I'm in events and education services for women, small business, single person operator.
Lovely. Number one, Excel. Gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Gonna be honest with you. Until you're big enough, forget about paying for these crazy CRMs. Mine is in Excel. I have a tech guy and I can put all of that together. If you're in the event space, there's larger things like, am I able to say them, Kate? I'm not
yes,
sure. Yes. So there's a lot of different ones out there. There's Ivy, there's Event Pro, which you can use as well. I know that you're doing the training, but you're obviously running the event side of things, so it does help you with that. So Ivy's a good one, very expensive. Event Pro, you've got there as well. You've got even if you can even use Open Table, and Seven Rooms can do the kind of same thing right now. But again, if you're just starting out, you don't need to invest a lot of money in a CRM when Excel can
very
do it for
wise.
you. I recommend just using the basic tools that you've already got. And then once you're down the track, if it's not doing what you need it to do, then invest in a CRM.
Amazing. All right. Two quick ones. Britt, selling breathwork and wellness workshops to executive leaders and CEOs. Would you recommend cold calling all businesses and offering a free workshop first?
Oh, yes, because I want one. Can I have one? Um, no, I would recommend because there is so much going on about that at the moment, and it is very important. You've got a very important structure and business there, that is very valuable. Yes, you could do a free workshop. Whether or not you're going to find their time poor is going to be difficult. I would potentially even, I know I've said this before, pre-record the free workshop. Let them
Mm.
do it in their own time, but in order to use your communication touch points, follow up with some really nice like key timing things, like maybe at 7:30 at night and be like, hey, how you going? If you do have the number, just let a reminder you've got your breath work there if this is a good time for you. Making it feel that's personalizing it because they're home from work, maybe they've put the kids to bed, you've sent them through an example of what you do, so it's trusting, it's brand awareness, and you're also reaching out to them, which is proactive. So tick tick tick.
Amazing. Thank you, Bree. All right, I've just popped in the chat again our feedback survey link. We'd love to hear what you thought of this series and what else you'd like to hear from. Thank you so much, Bree. You have just been a wealth of knowledge and spending your time with us and answering all the questions. If you want to know more about some of the stuff that Bree does, she's at Salesoda, and some of the tools you've shared today, I hope you've taken a screenshot. Otherwise, we do upload this recording probably tomorrow. It will be on the Reboot, and you can see the last this whole year, the 5 webinars, as well as the last 5 years. So it's a great free tool. And don't forget, you have the New South Wales Business Connect service there for you as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you a little bit later in the year for the next set of webinars. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Kate.
Bye, everyone.